build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me bars, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers. Matty, I've just been covering glue and dragged through a charity shop. It's what I look like I do. Joined tonight by Colin and Leon. Leon making your Longbangers Monday night debut. How you doing, mate?
Brilliant, aye. Looking to live up to John's fantastic output, but it's going to be a hard gym.
Nah, it's a low bar, right, to be fair, so I'm sure you'll be fine. Episode 119. Colin, you've not been there for 119, but you're a regular now. How are you doing tonight?
I'm all right, aye. I think I've been here since it was the high 90s. I joined in.
Aye, decent. Yeah. How did you enjoy Friday night, Colin?
I did enjoy it. I can't remember much about it. That's what I'm saying. You'll need to buy it when it comes out in recast to actually remember what I said and see if we need to take it down or anything, just in case we said anything that was too controversial. I think so.
I think we did. I think we said less than normal.
Aye.
Which is decent for us, decent for everybody else. Leon, you were there. How was it from your point of view?
Aye, brilliant. Good night. It's good getting to meet people you've spoke to on Twitter and things like that for years. The boys that I've literally spoken to for like years and years and never ever met. It was good catching up with guys and just shooting the shit. And that was really good. It was really good. And could listen to Pat Stanton all night.
That was a highlight of the night.
It was. I was on my wife. My wife was slagging me because there's a special guest coming tonight and she was taking the piss, pulling out random crappy normal names and that. So I got to stick her right there when I text her saying it was Pat Stanton.
Just the best ever.
Couldn't have been any better. Couldn't have been any better.
My old man was buzzing about it. Obviously, we were doing early to set up and that, and Pat turned up. And so my dad got to have like a wee 5-10 minute chat with him, which I think just blew his mind.
Well, once he had done his wee warm up, I seen him, he put his guitar down and he's straight over. Can I just shake your hand?
Aye.
And then he stood there for about 20 minutes till anybody else arrived. Just absolutely in his element.
Superb anyway. Right, no quite so good on Saturday, though. Where Colin, where do you want to start with that? Tell us what your thoughts were on the game.
It was really, really bad. It was definitely the worst since the cup final last year, and it was as bad as that any of the St Johnstone games last season and the Motherwell Ross County Livingston. Aye,
Ross County Livingston.
Christmas time they were terrible as well. It was like that. It was like a throwback to that. You're looking at the bench and you're going, there's nothing to come on. What can we even change? I was talking to my brother-in-law, going, what do we do here? And it's just formational changes. It's no players because there was nothing that you could see to change. It was a real slow. As bad as we were, they were good. Like, so there was that. That's why there was such a difference in the scoreline, because they did play well, but it was just so bad. I don't know how far we're going to go into it, but that's my overall thoughts of the game. It was just really poor.
Your summary, Leon. What about you?
I was pretty much what Colin said. It was really, really disappointing. I was in a pub in the Royal Mail before the game. A couple of Geordies or maybe Sunderland guys, so about to head down Easter Road asking for a taxi. I got chatting to them. I said, look, it's going to be a really good game today. Says two teams that will go at each other, and Dundee United on really good form, and I thought it was going to be a 2-2 or maybe 3-2 one way or the other, and it just terrible. I was sitting thinking about it, and it reminded me of the Hamilton game Easter Road of his mind. We got beat 3-1. I think we went 1-0 up. Hamilton scored an absolute brilliant team goal. And there was a wee back flicks and everything. And I think Greg Docherty was playing with them at the time. And it just reminisced that. It was one of them that we just turned up pretty confident. I didn't think we were expecting to turn Dundee United over easily. But I felt like we turned up and it was like, everyone sort of never turned up. The fans were just confident mood because we've been playing all right. I'm not buying into this. It's been coming. I didn't think it's been coming. I really didn't. I came with Drew St Mirren at him, but I didn't didn't feel like we were like, oh, this has been coming for weeks and that. Because even at Ibrox, I thought we should attain some at Ibrox. So where's it been coming for? You know what I mean? So I just felt it just all happened at once, and I was like, holy shit, how are we here? How's this team put out? Even looking at the side, I was a wee bit concerned because obviously you're missing a wee bit of sun in midfield for me, but it was a shocker, absolute shocker. Like,
Colin, you take the starting lineup. So Nathan Wood came in for Porteous, who was suspended. We're still missing McGuinness and Doidge. Paul McGinn is out the side as well. I'm not sure if I've seen if McGinn was injured or not. But assuming the fact that he wasn't on the bench at all, that he was injured. What did you think of the starting 11 when you saw it?
Well, I saw it quite late. Like, I didn't see it till it was on the big screen before the game. I hadn't seen it. But when I saw it, I did think it just felt like the team that we normally start with. Obviously, McGuinness was out, but when I looked at it, I didn't go, oh fucking hell! I didn't expect to see that. It didn't surprise me when I seen the names on the sheet on the screen. In reality, and when I saw them line up, the formation was just the formation that was working really well at the start of the season that I've spoke about in here anyway. That I like it. I like that formation, the 4-2-3-1. But it felt like, well, was it a 4-2-3-1? Because it felt at times like Scott Allen was up front because he was that far away for the rest of the midfield that I thought, is he actually up front or is he meant to be in that McGuinness position? Because it just looked. He just looked so detached, and it didn't help. He never had a good game. Like it was like first touch was like a brick wall, and that at times it was just bouncing off him, which isn't like him at all. I don't know what was wrong with him.
No,
but he just looked miles off it, and miles away for the rest of his midfield.
It was like the moment he ran into the ref as well, and I was just like, when he ran into the ref and knocked the ref on, I was just like, it's just not his day today. He's just, and I was on the Twitter and I was saying, like, he needs to come off because he was offering nothing. He was never ever goal side. I mean, he doesn't have to be goal side, but for me, you should. As a team, we've got to defend. We've got to get back, and the tracking back and the covering is what fucked us on Saturday for me. When we were obviously pushing. We were pushing after they scored the first goal. We were pushing, trying to get an equaliser, being at home, trying to take the game to Dundee United, and they hit us pretty well. But at no point was he goal side. The Dundee United team ever. Like every time they broke or the ball broke, he was always a couple of years farther forward than he should have been, in my opinion. And I was watching him because it was frustrating. Like you said, his touch was off, and he was looking a bit off, and it made me watch him more because I was like, "What's going on with the day?" Ken, and that's why I just picked that up during the game, and it was frustrating. It was just really frustrating to watch.
One of the things I noticed about Dundee United, Con, so in the aftermath of the game, there's folk commenting that Hibs are predictable. And if you look at how Dundee United set up the players, so they went with a really aggressive press, but they also went man for man right across the pitch. And that meant that when their centre halves in particular had the ball, there was never anything on. Do you put that down to us being predictable and Dundee United sussing it earlier on, or do you think that's on the players to go and find a solution to it?
Well, it's on the players, isn't it? It's got to be. You've got to think for yourself sometimes. You can't, like we've talked about people being overcoached and all. Is that what we're saying? They're overcoached now. Then they can't even think. As in why Scott Allen's playing for that exact reason. To actually find that. So that is what he does. Pick a pass that nobody sees. That catches the defenders out. So Scott unpredictable now. Is that what we're saying? I don't know.
I think that's what I'm saying. I just said about the team. That was a criticism leveled at the team, and certainly. So my observation was that Dundee United had our number. We played the game exactly like Dundee United wanted us to play it. I would have said based on what I saw. We just did nothing. They were on top of it the whole game. So. I suppose, Leon, if you're Jack Ross and you're watching that unfold, Colin had mentioned about the kind of lack of options on the bench. How do you change it when you see that's happening?
Well, it's a system. I mean, for me, you can have the people out there on the park and your expectations is starting and they can be talking about what they're doing. a lot of the guys were doing international duty, so you've not got a lot of work prior to the game together. Now, for me, it shouldn't really affect it too much, because we should be playing the way we want to play. Estimir is obviously against how the team are going to play against us. I felt like this. Jamie Murphy was at times looked like your best player on the park for the way he was getting on the park and creating chances. But I say creating chances, getting into position where he should be creating chances. Whether it was doing it his final ball, or Nisbet being off it, or other people not reading where he was going to go, then I felt that left Doig absolutely exposed like loads. And obviously he's no Murphy's not tracking back. He's not got the legs. He's not a fast player. That's why his abilities about his twist and his turn and taking and say do. I felt like that just wasn't working at all, and I felt like Dundee United played on that. I felt like the left men, they let him go, Murphy go, and the left men behind him, because they were wanting to take the chance in the gamble. And when they broke on Hibs, they always looked like they had 2 or 3 boys more than Hibs on the way back. And at times, like Wood and Hanlon were like totally exposed. Cadden as well. Cadden's a very forward-thinking player. McGinn is a lot older-headed in the way he plays and defensively. Him missing as well, it just sort of left the 2 centre-halves exposed. Doig at times exposed in the flank, but it was the system. I didn't know what it was hard to question the system, because I'm like some fucking tactician or some guy that's into all that. I just see how I see it. But I felt like the system. I just felt like the system. I just felt like the system wasn't working against Dundee United's system. They looked fitter. You shouldn't look fitter. A team shouldn't look fitter than you, and that's down to hard work, and that's down to positioning too. A team, if somebody's getting behind you 5 yards ahead of you, that's your positioning. That's not your fitness. That's your positioning.
Yeah. That's the thing. Sorry, but Leon, you're saying there they look fitter. They probably you could say that, but then Jack Ross did say they were lazy. So there's maybe they're no fitter. They just weren't fucking trying as hard as they should have. I know. That's
what I mean. That's what I mean. I didn't like. I doubt they're fitter. I doubt they're all as fit as each other. All the players, even like boys like Boyle and that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Boyle being your biggest threat travelling back from Japan to play that's not going to be a positive effect on him. There's no way for a boy that his ability is all about hard work and pace. And I feel like they just looked so lazy. They looked like a team that never played together, especially the way we conceded the goals. They looked so out of place, and I just didn't think people really appreciate how good Pochus is on that side, how much sweeping up he does, how well he reads how the game's playing for such a young laddie and stops things before they're happening. And that laddie I wouldn't hang him out to dry. It's his first game. Was he 20-year-old or something, or 19-year-old, kind of really young laddie? There's no way you can blame it on him. And Hanlon, obviously, never covered his selling glory either. But I just felt constantly like players were out of position when Dundee United were out on the attack.
On the subject of Wood, did you see Neil Warnock's comments about him? What do you think of that?
When you go, Colin.
I think he's trying to just get his fans. He's obviously getting under a bit of heat or something. Didn't he's just trying to throw the blame somewhere else, because he let him go.
They've got a lot of injuries. They've got a lot of injuries in that position. And
there's no way.
Sorry, Colin.
No, sorry, mate. I was going to say there's no way he's like the agent didn't make the deal without the say so of the manager, right? So he's now just chucking the blame somewhere else, so that he's not getting the heat off the fans. I assume they're wherever they expect to be in the league, and that's what he's doing, just deflecting.
I looked into it a wee bit, and it was like, I think they've got a lot. I think they've got honestly, I think it's like 7 or something. Maybe I'm not maybe not as many as that. I'm sure it was like 7 central defenders or defenders out injured, and he's saying that he made the wrong decision by leaving, in the opinion that he wouldn't get any game time. And then he argued that Hibs weren't giving him game time, so then why would they go to Hibs? Because he's not getting game time there. Then he could have been at Middlesbrough helping them out now. But if they hadn't had injuries, they'd be sitting in the reserves and be playing anyway. And like you say, you're 100%. Warnock, you can't Warnock's like he'll not take the blame for things. He's fucking as much as it comes out with some stuff and you see the sound bites, and you're like, oh, he's all right and that, and kind of that sort of working class attitude that folk like love buying it in that. He's a fucking knob at times, honestly. Drives me nuts.
Warnock looks like a Brexit,
Oh, 100%.
I think he is as well.
Is
I
it?
think
Aye,
he is.
there'd be a Brexit they've been moaning about not being able to get foreign players in, Ken.
Aye. Aye. Right. Right, anyway, digress. I just thought it was interesting when you saw it and you wondered how the move was pitched to Nathan Wood, whether it was like, right, come up, we'll give you game time. Because really,
I mean,
if Porteous had to go the red card, I suppose maybe you're banking on getting injuries or suspensions to your centre halves, but
or three at the back, but even when it's three at the back, he'll shuffle McGinnon, won't he, normally?
aye.
It's a funny one because, like, obviously he came up rated under 20 captain and all that, but I've seen folk writing that off, saying the under 20s is like it's not even a halfway house. It's the 19s and the 21s it's all about. The 20s is just I don't know what it's for.
I'm not sure how accurate that is and how much it just fits in fits the point that's been made.
Aye, because it's
my
like
opinion on it.
Normally the under 20s is the team before the under 21s, but then you'll have younger boys that'll jump in because you'll get 18-year-olds that are just that talented that are ready to play in the 21s and they shouldn't be in the 19s, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But normally the majority of the 20s will go and be the 21s next year, excluding the youngsters that are excelled.
Even apart from game time, do you think sending all these out to different experiences, kind of like different environments and kind of different training schedules and even again a different country, it's not different, but it is. I mean, it's a whole different environment, and I think that's maybe another thing that you want to expose these laddies to, so that it's no the 10 minutes for their house or things like that, and get them living away from their mums and dads and their family and everything, and see how they deal with it.
It's just actually playing against men. Like that's why we've got the debate up here about what they call the Colts teams or the B teams anyway, and folk didn't want Rangers, Celtic, Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen, whatever. They have their B teams in the lower leagues. But that's why you need it, because look at the laddie there. He's 19, never played or no played many first team games at all. Now, I think he cost us any of the goals, but obviously there's a couple of times he didn't look that comfortable. But then he's not going to be comfortable because he's out his fucking comfort zone. That's why he's here. And that's the thing, because like, he's not going to step right in. Otherwise, he'd be playing for fucking Middlesbrough already, right? Like that's why he's here.
True.
Because he's not ready, right? And we've over exceeded. We've got higher expectation. Oh, he's England under 20 captain. He's got to be the next Bobby Moore in that. Like he's not right. He's not getting a game at Middlesbrough.
It frustrates me too, because it's like a bit like I'm all for taking boys in that. I'm going to improve your team in that, but a lot of times, especially defenders and then anyone plays young laddies, it's like they're coming to your club to make their mistakes, and then learn their mistakes there, to then go back to their top club or the club.
Which is why Warnock would have been happy with the deal at the time. It's only now he's needed to deflect all this nonsense that he's saying.
We'd never have chucked him in at the deep end of the Middlesbrough. No danger.
So, going back to Hibs, Jack Ross's comments, Colin, you mentioned it there. He said about lazy.
Selfish was one of the ones he said.
Well, selfish, aye. What or who do you think he was referring to for the selfish comment?
I don't know. That was the one that got me. I get the lazy one, right? Because they all looked off the pace and lethargic. There was, other than Boyle was trying to drive them on in the second half. He was taking the ball and running with it. Murphy at times, obviously, we've not talked about the goals yet, but at times Murphy and Boyle were the only ones in my eyes that were close to pass marks because they were trying. Apart, didn't talk about the third goal yet, but the apart from that, selfish. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it means. Yeah. What do you think he means though? Because
it's when you do something just for yourself, mate.
Oh, so it's not that. I think a lot of folk have allergies to.
No,
no, but I was just thinking, what does it? I know what selfish means, right?
Okay, I'll look at
that up. Okay, right. But what did anybody do? I'm trying to think. Did somebody did nobody tackle the main player and took the ball from them? Nobody took a shot when they should have passed. Nobody, like what does he mean by selfish?
So I think in the context of the game, it's no doing the extra stuff that you need for your team. So no tracking back when you can't, like if you can't be arsed. Or then there was times where Boyle, and I think Murphy was guilty of it as well, were running into wee cul-de-sacs. Do you know, like they're just doing running pass the ball. Do you know, like there's maybe a pass on that they want to take in, or I think that sort of thing. But I think more than anything else, it was the no. Well, go back to what we were saying about Nathan Wood. See the amount of things Nathan Wood got the ball, and there's no pass on for him anyway, so he's having to shell it long. So for me, that's selfish. Other players who are getting marked because they need to put the effort in. So lazy is
Well,
was the other
it's
criticism.
lazy, I mean,
But selfish as well, because you need to kind of go, well, even if I'm not feeling it, my teammates need something here, so I need to do something better to make it happen.
Yeah.
But he did miss some, Leon, Jack Ross, after the game. What did you think of his comments?
Well, it's not like him as well, because he's no one to dig the players out. He doesn't do it that often. I've heard him. I mean, done it in the cup final. To be fair, I think he did. He did do it in the cup final last year, which was quite, which was fair enough.
quickly enough, not quickly enough for a lot of folk though.
I thought the cup final we kind of defended him at first then, and it was sort of after it that he.
The week
After
or
it,
two
so,
later,
because that's what, it's not like him. He's not a manager to dig the players out. He's happy to take responsibility, I think. And that, he wasn't happy, but as we all seen, no wonder, Ken, he's putting that side out like every manager. Like, managers are going to take the blame. It's the way the business goes, But he's putting that side out, and what they offered was horrendous. It was there's no way any of the players played to any level that we've seen them play. Hibs, not one of them.
Yeah.
I think I've seen some of them. I mean, even like Jake Hayes in that, Ken, he never looked anywhere near the player he's been this season.
No.
And they had some Mirren fans chucking that at him this year. Before when they signed the Hibs about starts off really well, fades away. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I hope it's not what's happening. But yeah, the performances like that, you've got to worry. Another player who just didn't look like the player he had been weeks ago. And I'm what to look for excuses. I'm what to look for, Ken, the international travel, the time together, maybe a bit of disruption and things like that. But these are boys that played together for all of these boys have played together for a long time, and they've got to stand up to trials and tribulations like that. They've got to go up against it and have a bit of fight about them, and they had nothing. The goals we conceded were terrible. They were so bad, and I didn't believe for a minute Dundee United will have an easier game this season than they did on Saturday.
You're probably right. It was like just one of those games where just everything was shite. But you also like have a game where nothing comes off you. I think there's a bit of shot that come off the inside of the post and bounces out.
That's when you knew,
Aye, it just sums up the game. And there was things like kind of overhitting easy passes. Like Scott Allen tried to lay one off to Jamie Murphy. It was easy with layoff, but ended up passing it to him at thigh height. So Murphy couldn't do anything with it. It was just stupid things like that were going wrong all the way through the game.
Ran towards Boyle with the ball when you think, just pass it, he's in space.
Aye.
And he actually ran 20 yards with the ball to get him it, and the two of them are standing next to each other, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, it was like they totally lost all like thought process and like forgot what they do, what they're good at.
Aye, you mentioned
bad.
Scott Allen being up beside Kevin Nisbet. Like, at the came up position Scott Allen was meant to be playing on Saturday, it was just
the midfield were miles away from him, and they had the run yet, and they obviously really rate the boy. Is it Fuchs?
Yeah,
is it 66? The guy, and he had a good game, but and their fans love him. I mean, they've got songs about him and all that, so he's obviously a good player anyway. But he just totally dominated our midfield on him and the other boy. Can't remember his name. But they dominated.
Declan Glass.
Aye, Glass. They two just ran. They had anything in the midfield. They just totally controlled that midfield, and Newell and Jake Doyle-Hayes never laid a finger on them. And I don't know if that's because Alan wasn't back helping, or like we should have three in there, and if McGuinness was there, it would have been a different problem for them to solve. But I noticed McGuinness was a huge miss, which who thought we would have been saying that, 5 months ago?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all wrote him off like what Wood's getting written off.
Not everybody.
No, we never. No, we never. But everybody's obviously straight in and tanning boys in the first game and all that. They're never going to be a player and all that. And this is the same ones. It's not the same people, but it's the same conversation about McGuinness. It's the same conversation about Joe Newell, Christian Deutsch. But we're willing to just fucking go and tanning in again and totally hammer boys. It's just like, have a wee think sometimes. You weren't right the last time, right? You're right sometimes, but you weren't right the last time. Can you want to be first in to say the body's never got to make it in that? But is it maybe just time to just say, well, he never cost us any goals. He didn't look comfortable, but as I say, he shouldn't fucking look comfortable. He's in his comfort zone. So give him a chance. But it's just not the Hibs way, yeah.
Yes, I think they want to get in first. They want to be there in this game first, and they want to go bang bang. See, I told you.
Aye.
And I'm telling you, it'll be in a game. oh, he's this, he's that, he's ranking in. They'll absolutely hound Hibs, the Hibs board for not getting him back up here next season because he's had a great. Honestly, it'll be one way or the other, and it's always a fucking shame.
Aye.
Scott's the other one that's getting hammered. I couldn't remember the name.
Well, James Scott. So we'll come in.
Speaking, it was Wood and Scott that was getting the worst of it, wasn't it?
Aye, Leon. We'll talk about that now. The half-time sub. So we go in at the break. Nicky Clark scores a good finish, to be fair, but again, probably one that we should have defended better. Half-time, Scott Allen gets taken off. James Scott comes on. Did they make a difference? Like, would you say the team got better or got worse at that point?
No, I wouldn't say worse. I wouldn't say better. I mean, we just continued as we went in the first half, and we just offered nothing going forward. And then when they eventually broke on us, we were all the shop had gone back. And James Scott again. He came in and just never looked like he was going to offer. But I didn't care what he was playing when he came on. Wasn't sure if it was two up top or if he was just playing exactly where Alan was and just floating. And then I've been reading a lot. Before he came. Sorry, I was like looking into him and that, and I knew who he was, but I never really knew who he was. Mm-hmm. And he was always predominantly more a winger. When he was at Motherwell and things like that, and I didn't know how we go into Hull and stuff, but he just came on and he never looked like he'd go up for it. But how can you get up for it when the rest of your team's not up for it as well? And how can again? It's easy to point at individuals. Scott Allen, for me, right, I'm not digging him out as this individual man that done it, but they're all fawning at him when he makes one pass. They're all fawning at him. They're all saying he's this, he's that, best thing since everything. And there's one bad game, and you can't criticise him. Again, we'll play Aberdeen next week. We may not get a result, and they'll hound Jack Ross on starting Scott Allen because he's the man to pick the pass. Even losing him in doing it, he had the game up at Dundee United. To be fair, he played really well. But I what I mean, and it's like so boys like the boy like Scott as well. Like you've got to give him time. What chances he got coming on in a game like that? The team's not playing, and how's he got to turn that on his head? Do you get what I mean? He's not getting 90 minutes every other week. He's getting brought on bit part here and there. How's he got to bed himself in this team?
That's a fair point. Colin, but then the other changes the whole game now. How do you square that one off?
So I was looking at I was thinking about this today, right? So we're missing McGuinness, Porteous, McGinn, Doidge, and the laddie Mackay. Like if he wasn't going to be a starter, well. Hallberg, right? But 4 of them are starters, 2 of them make the bench stronger, right? Then you look at the bench, who's left? So you've got the goalie, right? We bring Scott on. We've got McGregor and Stevenson. They're not going to make a difference, right? And then we've got Gullen and Wright, who are just players that are here getting paid, but Ross doesn't rate and he's not going to get him a game, right? Because the fans didn't rate Wright either, didn't they? In the main, he's been written off, and Gullen, well, he's not had a chance really, has he? Well, he's not had a chance really, but he's no. When he has played, he's no. Has he scored 1 goal in the whole time he played?
I think so.
So I just think he's rated. So like. I don't know who else was on the bench, but other than there's 5 that were on the bench, that were left on the bench, plus Scott that came on, probably another one there. I can't remember. Who's going to make the difference? Like, so what you got to do?
I got asked that on Twitter, right? And I had to think of it because it's a good question, right? What are you going to do when you look at the bench? Because you're right, there's nobody there that screams match winner. But I think the system was wrong on Saturday, evidently wrong. Like I said, Dundee United had us exactly where they wanted us. I think there's an argument maybe you take Scott Allen off and put Darren McGregor on, go 3 at the back, right? So Hanlon, Wood and McGregor, you push Doig to wing back and Cadden on the other side to wing back. Put somebody else into the midfield to try and get. So even if you go,
bring Murphy in.
Aye, bring Murphy in. And just give Dundee United a different problem, but put a couple of extra extra body into the middle, and then let them worry about it. It's to frees up a bit of space, because even then you're taking somebody for the Dundee United team in an area they didn't want to go. If they're going man for man, it means somebody there is coming out of position where they didn't want to be. it gives them that problem to fix it. So even though there's no necessarily a match winner on the bench, I think there was maybe room to change something. But I was just amazed they never fucking tried anything. That was the thing that got me. It's like, how I can't how was, and I'm a big fan of Jack Ross, right? So this isn't me just kind of finding like a reason to have a go at him. But I guess there's a few times I'll look at a team's manager and go, how can you fucking watch that be as shite as it is? Nothing to affect it. And he really didn't. So I don't care maybe if he's shouting for wee instructions to the players for wee subtle changes, or can somebody to drop deep or go into a pocket somewhere, or can whatever. But I thought it was evident that you needed more than a wee subtle change to that system on Saturday to try and have any chance of winning that game, because we were doing absolutely hee-haw on it. And I just don't get how you can stand and just go, I'll just go to watch that and then let it happen. Just didn't get it.
Changes were like for like, kind of apart from obviously like, I mean, different types of players technically, but like I said, boy Scott came on and I didn't care where he was playing, and but as much as I didn't care where Scott Allen was playing. It just looked like they were sort of flowing about the same sort of areas, and like you say, it could have done with an actual system change. And I'm not fucking arguing with Jar Ross about tactics and that. You know what I mean? Fucking he'd wipe his arse with me. But at the end of the day, it's fucking, you can look at it for the sideline, for the stand, and be like, you could see it. You could see it that we were offering nothing. We were offering absolutely nothing. Like you say, Son is a wee bit of more drastic change to get Dundee United out their system, because their system was working against us, and nothing came. And like you say, I like Jack Ross. I think he's perfectly suited to Hibs. I think he is for where we want to go and how we're building. But it's been chucked up a few times about not making decisions early enough in games, not making subs early enough. I mean, he done that on Saturday, obviously, changing something at half time, things like that. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch sometimes when. But look, again, we've had for me, we've had a lot more good than crap. But the bad times, watching it go, I just feel like, can he not just take this game by the scruff of the neck as a manager and make a drastic change, or really turn it on its head?
Colin, you right, with Toby's comments, he's identified players that have been lazy and selfish, right, to use his words. There's an argument there that you should make almost like a symbolic fucking substitution and just take some kind off and just say, you're not get. So Scott Allen might have been that person at half time, but even for showing, and I'm not a big fan of grand gestures, right, as a general rule, but even just to show the support, I'm not tolerating this. So if you fucking put Stevenson on out of position even and saying, Lewis, you go and fucking, you're no lazy or a selfish player, we ken what we get for you, or McGregor, or fucking whoever, Jamie Gullen, take off Kevin Nisbet, say, Kevin, you've been fucking lazy today, Gullen's going on. Show the crowd that you're standing for it. I think things like that get folk behind you.
I get you. That could maybe turn around that thing well, that's funny. Would it turn around the thing about I can't quite take to Jack Ross, can't quite put my finger on it. But can you imagine if he was to say the grand symbolic gesture was taking Scott Allen off for fucking Darren McGregor, like you just suggested? Fuck me, the place would have been an uproar. That's why you've got to sub Scott Allen at half time.
Aye. Dead covert. Right. So we've kind of established a shite day at the fucking office, pretty poor. The fallout to the game. Colin, you mentioned that before we started recording. What are your thoughts on the reaction to the game?
It's just like, it's like folk haven't seen football before or didn't understand that sometimes you get beat, right? And it's like, we weren't good. They were good. We weren't, right? So sometimes you can lose. I'm sure we beat teams. When we beat them 3-1 just a couple of weeks ago, they were saying, how the fuck did we lose that 3-1? You know what I mean? It just happens in football. Sometimes you get beat. And it was like a biggest tantrum competition on Saturday night. Who can throw the most toys at the pram in one go? Rather than like having a rational conversation about it. It's like fucking just throwing stuff like I heard quick bang. Fucking he's lost the dressing room. It's one game. So like you lose the dressing room. You might say somebody's lost it. It's a bit of fucking cliche anyway, but you've lost the dressing room when you went on a Terry Butcher style run, right? And you're looking for reasons why what the fuck's going on here? Oh, the manager, the players, I think the manager's a cunt and all that, right? But this is one game. Like, I know we could be at Ibrox, but we were unfortunate, I think, at Ibrox for the reasons we spoke about. It's one bad game where they've not turned up. How can we try and say things like he's lost the dressing room or the manager's clueless and all that when, or even one of the ones I saw was, oh, well, that's just at the top 4 now. You can shut his fucking mouth about that.
But
and you're going, fucking hell, are you happy with it at the top 4? So you could say that. Is that what you mean?
There was since we were a bang average mid-table side. I was literally the day after 16 months of being in top 4, and this season I think we've been lower than 3rd. Or season until this weekend, we've not been lower than 3rd. And they go, we're a mid-table, league table doesn't lie. You're fucking joking, eh? Like, it's like, aye. So
that was because I think the follow-up to that was, well, the average is we're 5th, so that's the average. Oh, no, that's where we are today. Like yesterday, we were 3rd. So they have, you know what I mean? It's not an average. Averages didn't work like that. It's fucking, it's just mental. It's absolutely mental, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people. I don't know if it's a lot of people or if it's quite is it a growing minority or is it a large minority? I don't know, but there's a lot of people out there that seem to want to. They can't take to the manager.
So what do you think's behind that, Leon? Why? Because I'm not saying folk are wrong. Folk are entitled to their opinion, but and this is the thing with football, right? It's totally subjective, and it's an emotional and emotive subject. So why do you think that there is a section of the support that hasn't taken to Jack Ross?
There's a few things. I think there was a wee bit of a mixed fallout between when Neil Lennon left. But should he have left? Should he not left? I think the person coming in was going to be difficult to replace. I think everybody watched the documentary on Netflix and made their decision on him through that. I think then obviously we went for that to losing the derby and then ended up in lockdown for kind of 18 months or whatever it was, or kind of, well, however it went to actually start watching football again, but then even longer than that to actually get involved in a derby as a fan on a match day. But losing that derby 3-1 at Easter Road and then having the big gap, I think that knocked a lot of folk the wrong way about him because that sickened him, that derby. I was sickened a lot of folk. I mean, I never sickened me. I've seen him get pumped to hell's loads, so it doesn't fucking bore me anyway. But you know what I mean? But there was that. And then I think obviously the semi-final and cup final defeats to St Johnstone, obviously, were really disappointing. I mean, we're talking about a side that knocked 2 Rangers at Ibrox, then beat a team that they had nothing to play for in the league. The league was done and dusted. Their whole eyes were set on winning these cups, while Hibs were still battling to get that 3rd place, which I can't folk were arguing about. Or do we really want 3rd? Or do we rather win a cup? I'm like, well, you wouldn't. I mean, it's all good winning cups, but nobody was there. Again, I'd love to win a cup this year. I mean, we can be in the ground and we can celebrate it. We can get the scenes up like we had when we won the Scottish Cup and stuff. But I think there's a lot of factors that have like ate into it. And obviously, social media always masks a lot of things. You think you sometimes go on social media and you think that's everyone's opinion, eh? Okay, when it grows and it grows, and then I can't remember. I've seen some last season, and it was like a vote. It was maybe up at Aberdeen, or I can't remember, but it was some. The vote went totally against what the social media opinion was. I can't remember for what the hell it was, and it totally opened my eyes to it. It was maybe at Celtic or something. I can't remember, but there was everybody was kicking off about something, and then all of a sudden I had this vote, and it was like actually. To be honest, it was maybe a bit of a parliamentary thing. But anyway, it was sad anyway. It threw my mind, and I was like, okay, maybe everyone that you hear on social media, and maybe it is a minority. Maybe it is a minority actually on social media venting their frustration. And you came was like the minority folk listen to, folk like a bit of negativity. Eh? They like a pile on it. Folk love that. They love like, I mean, I like Hibs. My Hibs are, for me, when I was growing up, I used to go to Easter Road and all folk dumb as fucking more about Hibs about how shite we were. We were shite when I was younger, right? But I feel like that mentality just sort of keeps working its way through, and same old Hibs. Same old Hibs. We're talking about it. We're going to go up to Aberdeen. What's the chat about Hibs? If a team needs a result, play Hibs.
Play Hibs.
And that's your attitude, and it's mad that we think that. Because it's not hunting, doesn't mean it's not there's been hundreds of players through this club that's maybe happened now and again to. But we just think it all happens to every player just because of them wearing a green strip. But it was the same with the Scottish Cup. hundreds of years and that. It's like, it must be a curse on the club and that. It's just the Hings. You know what I mean? But back to the point, the original point, I think there's a few things that I went against Jack Ross, and like I said, people had their mind set up long before, and they weren't willing to change their mind, regardless of how the results went and the performances. And this Hibs need to play stylish football, and we were sitting in the house watching them on the telly in our bedroom, or wherever, and there was no fans here to lift them, and the games were drab as anything. So all of a sudden it was like, Jack Ross is shite. Can't play good football. He's never played good football. Even the Sunderland fans tell us that too. I'm like, good for them. Ken, so I think there's a few things there, but I think some folk, like you say, they just set their mind on it, and that's them. Can't change it.
What were you, Colin? What were your thoughts on it?
I think that's some good points there. Like, I think the derby before lockdown, everybody sitting dwelling on it for that long as well. Last game before it, really bad performance. It was because it was a performance like Saturday, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So if we were going to go into another lockdown and say, see in 2023, the now, and that was the last game that we played, and if that was going to fester, it wouldn't be great. I think Leon's kind of covered a lot off there. But it's like, from my point of view, I'm looking at it going, just throw the good out for one bad result. Like every year before, right? I know it's Aberdeen away next, it's not easy, but it's a big game, or it was last season. I don't know if it is this season, but in the big game spectrum, that has been mentioned, and it's when we've had one of these results last year, we bounced back and we got a good result in the next one, and that's why we finished on average third over the season comfortably, because we were beating everybody else, and we could afford, if you like, a poor performance once every couple of months, or whatever it worked out as. You can't just suck all the good out, and it's like it's all the good stuff gets ignored, and I'm sure Jack Ross is reminding them all how good they are. He's hammered them on Saturday for our benefit, probably as much as anything, and to get a reaction out of them. But it's also he's not going to be in there now fucking slating them all again. He's got to be reminding them that we've scored more goals than anybody in the league apart from Celtic again this season. You know, all that kind of stuff. He's got to be talking about the good stuff, to build their confidence back up, because they've taken a beating on Saturday, comfortably beaten, and for a team that might be a competitor for third this season as well. But the looks of them, they look a decent offside. It's not like it's a shit team like it was last year that came in, like who was it? We said Ross County and Livingston.
Aye.
Well, Livingston were on their run at the time, weren't they? They're the boy that made the boy's name.
Aye, Martindale.
Before he started losing those games again, although they pumped St Johnstone on Saturday.
Did
You see
they?
McCart's mistake?
No. I
Fucking hell.
I was in the huff on Saturday. I can talk about full shot spitting the dummy and that. I've not
man.
watched any football.
There's folks slating. There's folks saying, we need to get McCart in. That was the answer to Saturday's result. And then you see he got sent off against us for lipping at the ref. And then on Saturday, the boys just bounced off him straight to the Livingston boy. I think, well, for judging players on one game, that's 2 games at least I've gave that boy to judge him on. But I don't know. I don't know how he turns it around. That's Jack Ross's biggest problem. I think how does he turn it around? Because even if he wins a cup this year, I think folk will still say, but we only won it 1-0. You know what I mean? I think there's an element of that.
He should have won a cup.
Well, he should have won it last year. And we've not played anybody hard. Ken, we got Rangers, and I was lucky at Rangers because they weren't as good as last season. They'll be like, fucking hell. I don't think he can win. We've been here before with managers, usually just before they're about to get sacked, because they're going to get sacked because they've been doing shite. We've got a manager here that's got the best win percentage ratio, like
decades,
just about every manager apart from Eddie Turnbull or something. And it's and we're looking for reasons to hammer him. It's just I can't quite grasp it. I can't quite grasp what he needs to do to turn it around.
It was like so there's a bit of discussion on Hibs on it. There's some good chat about it on Hibs bounce as well, right? That we're talking about the bar. So I made a comment about Jack Ross being held to a higher standard than any other manager I can remember at Hibs. And somebody made I think it was Pretty Boy that made the point, and it's a good one, saying, but he's got better circumstances than any other manager, so we should have higher expectations. And you look at it and you say that's probably true, because he's been allowed to keep his best players. He's been backed with transfers. Excuse me, we'll come on to that in a wee minute to say how much he's been back, because he probably wasn't as much as he wanted to be. But the expectations at the club have gone up, so there probably is a reasonable amount of being able to kind of raise what you expect from him. But then you look at what he's delivered. So consecutive cup finals, is it fifth or sixth consecutive cup semi-final we're in?
Yeah.
Cup final last season, albeit didn't they win it? Third place finish. No at the top four for 16 months, albeit we've dropped it now. Third highest scorers last season. I think we had the third best defence, maybe the fourth best defence in the league, right? But you're looking at where our benchmark is. We're always probably setting ourselves below Rangers and Celtic for what we can do, right? Because of the resources that those clubs have. This season, even the news put out a thing today about where teams should be based on what their expected goals are, etc., or expected goals conceded. Hibs are sitting third as well. So statistically, Jack Ross is delivering there. So again, that's not as important as points on the board because that's what football's all about, really. But pretty much everything that he's meant to be delivering is delivering. And if you chase the club, the fuck's the next man got to do? Like, where do you set the bar and say, right, what's the one area that he needs to improve? Because it's an unquantifiable. You need to be more entertaining. But how do you measure entertainment?
Did Lennon not turn up in the pub sometimes? So is that maybe what he needs to do? Is that what gets it? I don't know, because now and again he would turn up in the boozer and have a pint with boys.
Have a fight in the touchline.
Throwing the Rangers in that team, okay.
That other thing, I mean, that's what somebody else said that as well. Oh, he's just standing on the touchline, he's no shouting and that. Don't start me on that. Like I've mentioned it a couple of times in here. You heard that last year with him shouting just fucking shite. I didn't see the boy in the court shouting at anybody on Saturday.
He was applauding. He was saying what Jack Ross does a lot of. Kind of sort of leaning forward to be but giving them a wee clap, we encouraging clap.
Speaking to individuals rather than like just shouting at everybody, like Yogi does or like others do. Like just shout big loud words out, so that the fans go fucking brilliant. What a motivator! What a motivator!
Jack Ross left them on. There'd be fans wanting Yogi back. I can guarantee it.
There would be.
Lennon would be. Lennon would be top of the list.
That is absolutely mental in my head. Mental. And that's like trying to replace somebody. Look at Aberdeen, the McInnes. His time had run out there. He'd been there too long in that, right? But look at the nick they're in as soon as he left. And they've spent fortunes bringing in boys, like even bringing in Scott Brown. He'll be on, he'll not be on the money he's on Celtic, but he'll be on top dollar. The American boy, the Ramirez, or his name as a striker, he's on good money. They've spent a lot of dough, and they are talking tonight about staying away for relegation. What do you want? What do you want at Hibs? I mean, I've mentioned it before, and it's gone back to the past and a previous point and everything. When Jack Ross was first here and before lockdown happened, it pumped Aberdeen at him, it pumped Motherwell at him. I mean, I think we drew or lost to St Johnstone or something like that, and then we go beat Bears, obviously.
Yeah.
I 100% believe we'd have finished in that top four that year because our momentum was gone up. Prior to the Hearts game, when we had a terrible one-off performance, and obviously when we done the ratio thing, and all that, and obviously that was just because of game in that, right? But I was confident that Hibs were going to finish top four. Whether they finished fifth or fourth in my eyes, the way we were playing. And where do you want us to be? I get they want us. They've got this thing in the mind that put challenging and all that. Listen to Dave McCormack say BBC Scotland thing earlier on, and he was bullish as anything. And one of his points he made was about Hibs standing by Jack Ross, building something, and look where they are now, and look where they're going. And that was so along the lines. That's what he was saying. And the fact is, people in football, the guy that owns Aberdeen is looking at Hibs. He's spending all this money. He's looking at Hibs and what Jack Ross is doing at Hibs, and talking that up is where he's wanting his management team to be. So that's tells me everything I can.
Aye. Right, we'll go get some talking points and go through that before we look ahead to the Aberdeen game and get some predictions in. So, first one was for Jamie Montgomery. Jamie says, do you think the removal of Graham Matthew was on the back of a poor summer window, and is Jack Ross now having to bear the brunt of something he was unable to affect? Colin, you want to take that one?
Looking at it now, you look at, I mean, we all knew we needed a striker as backup. Nisbet's completely off the boil. and we've not got anybody to bring on, like, because Gillen's just not getting a game, and he's just on there filling a number on the subs bench would be as well no bothering, even putting him on there for that point of view. So I think whether that's Matthew's fault, I don't know. I don't know if we're just reading into it, because this could have been happening anyway. Like, this might have been happening, but it definitely looks it's a right coincidence if he's not away, because how the job he done, not getting a centre half and not getting a striker in, that we all needed. We spoke in the summer on this, and or it might have even been at the end of last season, and we were talking about finishing third and being in Europe and that, and we were talking about trying to get into the group stages, mind days, and I had said, if we get to the group stages, we need to get numbers in, quality and quantity, because
see that, aye.
the squad's bare. It's doing it because we went with a small squad deliberately last year. But then this year, because we had the extra, it was only fucking 4 or 6 extra games or something. But if we had more games, our squad was never going to manage. But look how it's even managing without that, because we're already rattled off 4 guys that would be in the first team right away starting, plus another 2 that would be pushing to get in the first team, and they're not available. So we've got nothing on the bench to bring on. We've no options because the squad is threadbare.
I think the fact that Jack Ross publicly came out and said that was for me like quite damning, because Hibs have always been run quite well recently about the structure, about the recruitment, the coaching, the way we're wanting to do a head coach or whatever, recruitment above that, and director footballish sort of thing. And the fact that he actually came out and publicly said that he was needing a striker and a centre half, that for me was like, I was like, there's clearly something going on in the background of that.
There was a comment he made, I think the week before deadline day, like in the run up to it, Jack Ross. He said something like, "I'd be surprised and disappointed, or annoyed even." Do you know, it was like that sort of language. I can't remember the exact comment. If he didn't get somebody in, and
like he was trying to put pressure on whoever it is that was doing it.
Aye, and my guess was he wasn't meaning James Scott and Nathan Wood, kind of is his cover. I didn't think he was hoping for kind of a laddie that wasn't getting a game for Middlesbrough. With no disrespect to Nathan Wood, but I just didn't think that's the level Jack Ross or evidently Ron Gordon saw Hibs going for. Like, I just think that it was evident.
I'd heard Matthew make a comment about the club not wanting to rely on loan players and developing players for their clubs on a pod. I don't know if it was talking to Hibs or if it was a podcast he'd done somewhere else. I'm not sure. I definitely heard something, and there was a chat about it. It was taken back to that cup final in 2015-12, whenever it was, against Hearts, and that about the amount of loan players and players that were actually connected to the club or contracted and are not to lose. And he made a comment about bringing in players with a view how they'll get influence the team, how they'll get progress of a sellable asset, blah blah blah. And the fact that it was 2 loan players that eventually came in, it just tell you, it screamed last minute. They obviously they went for McCart, which I didn't even think was the right option for me personally. And it looks all right. He was a good enough player. He's all right bringing the ball out and stuff. But obviously, I think Kerr was obviously the one they were looking at, and I think St Johnstone's exploits then shot his value through the roof. So they weren't competing with that anymore. And what Hibs were willing to offer against what a Wigan or wherever he's ended up offering, it's not happening. So I think that was another sign of me thinking that no, Matthew's time is up, because I quite like Graham Matthew, and I did like, I liked the way he came across. If that's just a big sell, fair enough, but I liked the way he came across. I liked what he used to say. But you've got to applaud Ron as well for making the decision. I think a big thing too is a new chief executive. He's got to bring his own men in, or people that he wants to work with, and maybe he's seen the structure differently. Maybe he's like, well, actually, I want to be more involved in contracts and more involved in player recruitment as well, and with his contacts down south. So, but definitely things. I think.
Right, Charlie says the only talking point is how bad we were right across the park. I think that's fair enough. Right?
It is one.
It was a significant one, wasn't it? Leashay says his talking point is that I genuinely reckon I'm a better player than James Scott.
Right, get him signed then.
get your boots on. Debbie just said shite.
Yeah, reflection.
Straight to the
Story
point.
about the podcast or a story about the game?
To be fair, if the cap fits,
I should have got people myself, to be fair.
Jeff Ashton says, where do we start? Nizzy and Scotty up front doesn't work. Scott Allen, it is. A fully fit Scott might, not this version. Why were we second to most loose balls? McGuinness has proven his worth by what happens when he's missing. Ditto Deutsch, weak bench, no game changers, and where's Mackay? Is Mackay injured now?
I don't know. I wondered that myself when I was saying his name earlier. I'm not sure. I've not read anything or heard.
There's a lot of talk on social media about that as well, and to be honest, I genuinely forgot about him. I was somebody mentioned him on social media about him, and I went, "Oh shit!" I goes, "Where is he?" And he's injured. Maybe he's injured. He must be because he looked like a good option. He looked promising, and you've not heard anything about him playing in any development games, which he could maybe be like qualified.
I think so.
So
I would think he must be injured because I can't imagine you would deliberately go with that bench if you've got somebody who you could bring on. You can's decent, like a new signing as well. You want to have them in the squad if they were fit. The thing about being second to most loose balls, I think that goes back to what Jack Ross said, and he kind of puts a lot of onus on the players' role in that. Lewis Connor, Colin, you can take this one. One of the worst defeats I've seen Hibs take under Ross. Can't even give players pass marks for this one. Do you have anybody getting pass marks in the game?
I think I sort of touched on it earlier. I think the closest for me was Boyle and Murphy. I'm not giving Murphy them because we spoke about the goals, but that third goal, he just watched the boy run past him to tap it in. Boyle tried to put a bit of spark into it. He was one that looked like he was trying to lift others by doing something. So for that, I would probably... Who got man of the match at the ground?
I never even heard if they announced it. I can't mind. Did you?
Aye, but I never heard. I never heard it, obviously. But I thought some teams didn't when you got a doing like that. But if anybody, you would have thought it had to have been. It couldn't have been. No, it had to be Boyle. He's the only one that could even go close to getting pass marks. I think of them.
Aye, Leon, did you stay to the end?
I left a couple of minutes before because I hate leaving LA. I do hate it. It's I'm quite a stubborn bastard, things like that. But I was like, I'm not waiting to boo because I'm not like that either. I've done my own boot Hibs. Fucking, I've stood in the boot, but I've changed my head about that a wee bit, and I'm like, I'm not going to stand there and boo. I'm like, the amount of folk were leaving, I was like, well, I'm not going to worry about getting to the ground early enough because I'll be able to scoot right out because I think half the ground left when that third goal went in, and so I stayed to injury time anyway, and then I was just like, right, time to go, and I wasn't able to hear the boos because fucking they deserved it anyway.
There was nobody left to boo. I waited till the end. Me and Josh stayed till the end, pretty much because I thought if we left early, the traffic was going to be worse than if you hung about. But check that as an alarming thing for Hibs because I can't remember who it was. Somebody posted a couple of pictures. It was like the back of the east stand with 15 minutes of the game to go, and it was just folk flooding out, and just say that should be sending alarm bells to Jack Ross or to the board or whatever. The fucking stadium emptied. I mean, by full time, it was not a handful, right? That's exaggerating it, but the vast majority of folk had long since left the ground. Like if Hibs had scored, you'd barely have heard it, do you know? And that was what a chunk of the match came with 15 minutes to go, and there's a lot of folk who no leave with that long left to go, but loads of folk did.
It was mad. That third goal went in. I've not seen that for a long time.
Fire drill levels, wasn't it?
That was round about me as well. Aye. But there's folk like round where I'm sitting now. It was like worried for a few folk, like the aggression and that they were showing. And I thought, great. Imagine if we were losing every week. They probably wouldn't be coming, I suppose. But if they were, like, they're definite anger issues. Some of them, like for one game, to get beaten one game, like, and to be acting like that, I was like, but I better not say too much in case they come and give me a doing at the next game.
I can find you. It's a funny thing. Like, so I was thinking about this before we came on, right? And I totally understand folk raging at that performance. You know, if that was the only time you'd seen Hibs, you'd go, "We're in trouble here. Like we could get relegated." Okay, that's how bad a performance it was. Like it was for me, it was like Butcher-esque. Like that was the sort of level of performance that we saw under Butcher when we did get relegated. But it's like if you'd have to forget all the other games that we've played to carry that angle on for ages and to think we would genuinely be relegation trouble or can we be mid-table or something like that. You'd need to have just forgotten everything that's gone before and just only focusing week to week on individual performances and either losing your shit or thinking we're going to win the league, depending on whether we've won or got beat.
It's a bit like that, though, eh?
Aye.
Not the same people. Like, you know, you're saying that it's not like one crowd of people that are saying all that and one that's saying the other. But that's what comes across in message boards and on social media will be the same. But it's can we win? It was only 2 weeks ago. Can we win the league or can we split the old firm?
Aye, can we challenge?
But then it's just the topic. It's not the same people. You know what I mean? It's not. Well, maybe it is, but I don't think it's the same people that are saying 1 week we're going to finish, we're going to win the league. Next week we're going to get relegated. It's just we've got a right disparity there. It's a half full, half empty glass, isn't it?
Aye.
Like you say, folks, yeah.
People love it when we Hibs get beat.
They do.
Revel in it.
They do. Because it's the I told you so chat. That doesn't come for fucking weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. We're doing all right.
So I think when it does come, they're like, fuck, here's my chance. And it goes, and it's getting worse and worse, building up every time because it's like, fuck, it's been weeks since I had a chance to.
It was
I've never seen that towards a manager anyway. That waiting on the bad result because I feel like I get it all the time. I watch Hibs and I'm like, we always seem to be one bad result away for them hounding Ross. So certain fans, and I'm like, where does that end? Will they ever turn around and be like, actually, he's done well?
I think if it's just the Hibs thing, because I was just thinking, Kim, we were saying that you look at Scotland and the international breaks, so we're playing the Faroe Islands, and we were shite. If folk were slaughtering Steve Clark, how would this be like? It has to go if we didn't win, and then we scored for like an injury time, wasn't it? When the goal went in, and it's like I think I tweeted something along. It's like folk are grudgingly happy that we've scored. It's like, fuck, because you're not getting half that moan that you'd built yourself up for. It's like everybody's ready to go, oh, fucking great, I can go and slate Steve Clark, I could go and talk about how shite international football is, and then we've won.
Somebody said we shouldn't be going to a World Cup if we can't beat the Faroe Islands. And I'm like, we fucking did though.
Aye, we did beat them.
Do you think when Hearts have their slide, because Hearts will go here and no winning games, right, at some point, probably soon, do you think they'll have the same? Like, I never rated them anyway. Wilson's a prick.
Aeroplane's gone past.
Aye, they fucking swing the leg. They went for hounding him out to, oh shit, he's actually not doing no bad. Ken, like, they were at banners, they were having fucking, they were all protesting.
But do you think there's that group that we're talking about here, though? Have they got the same
100%,
that are just dying on them to lose?
100%.
They can go and hound them out. So we're not alone here. It's just a mentality thing now that's there.
If it looks like 3 games in a row, which I can't see Hibs. I can never ever see a Jack Ross Hibs team losing 3 in a row, and I can't. And I'm just like,
we're on it now.
Well, famous last words, eh? Shut the fucking mouth. But,
it was like Leon. See on Saturday, right? I bumped into him. I bumped into Matthew right outside before the game, and he went, "My dog never had any shits in the goal the day, so that means we didn't score any goals." Kenny, it's how he counts. That's his prediction. And then I sat down beside my brother-in-law on the ground, and he went, "It'd be a hard game today, but Dundee United didn't score many goals." And I'm going, right, we've got to get a fucking hide in here.
Talking to boys in the pub, boys from Newcastle and that, and they're like, so it'll be a good game today, it'll be a good game, a right competitive game. And that. They'll be thinking, who's that fucking dick?
Right, next point comes to Paul Thompson, says the board has a lot to answer for rewarding season ticket holders, 11,000 plus who bought into the club without seeing a game, then committing again the following year with a lack of ambition. We were there for you, now it's time to return the favour. I think that's fair, lack of ambition for the board.
Keep in Nisbet and purchase and then try to get them on contracts, whereas old boards would have had them sold. And the transfer window is a disaster, right? It has, to an extent, because we're still signing players and that, but it's been terrible to an extent. But if they go for Matthew leaving, I'm quite looking forward to January, because I think there'll be a better statement in that transfer window because they have changed the structure. If we didn't make decent signings in January, then there'll be big questions asked. He's saying, well, wait a minute, you go ready, Matthew. Who's picking the players? What's happening? What are we doing? And what do you want me to do? What did we have? What football more about the games, the friendlies and that about? Well, it could have been a freebie and all this, and the Arsenal game and that could be.
I minded that, aye.
Okay, and we've had a few of them. What was the other one? There was an Aryan. There was an Aryan that should have been a freebie. Obviously, they've done the Hibs ladies thing was a freebie, but nobody was asking like, "Well, Hibs ladies, blah blah blah." But they're like, "We want a freebie," and I'm like, "Well, aye, right, I get that, but we invest in the club." And I get what she's saying. We're investing in the club to help the club, to push the club on. We can't moan about the club being shite if we're not investing, right? Which is fair enough. But where do you, what do you want back? Like, what do you want back? Does every person that went buys a season ticket deserve to see their team win the cup? Because not every team's going to win the cup. Not every team's going to win the league. Not every team's going to win every week. Just because you buy a season ticket, it doesn't entitle you to anything. Entitles you entry to a fucking football stadium for Saturday day, as much as a season ticket a fucking cinema would. Get what I mean? But anyway.
Well, we have obviously not divulge anything, but there's a rumour that we'd heard calling about Boyle's contract and the wages like eye-watering in terms of Hibs. You know, the history of what we can about Hibs players being paid. Talk about a statement of intent to want to keep your best players. So we'll not repeat it, no betray any confidences here, but fucking hell, like you talk about pushing the boat out, that is an example of pushing the boat out to keep a player that
I think people forget about players that are here, Ken, like everybody's wanting a new signing and they forget that it does cost money to keep players long term. Because they're always want to increase the wages. They've got a short career, as everybody tells you. But Boyle was getting touted, but he wasn't getting touted about. There was a lot of interest in him, and they caught that thing with the £500,000 the release clause or something.
Aye.
Buying that out, I think folk understand that's it there for him for him to become a £500,000 player plus. Then his wages usually reflect that as his value. Can you ever remember the Carol with Scott Brown, Kevin Thompson? The agent is saying, well, if they're a £4 million player, why are you not paying them £4 million wages? That was the chat. So that's that's a lot of the time how they work out what you're worth as a wage. So to buy that out his contract, Hibs would have had to give money, 100% they would have. And there's no danger you're telling me talking to Nisbet and Porteous about contract negotiations is going to be cheap. Obviously, for Saturday it might be for Nisbet, but for where they are, it's feel like Scotland international, Porteous will be international 100% when he gets there 100%, and then he cares where he's gone. So it's like that'll cost money, and they're bringing this boy in from America. He'll not be on peanuts.
No, he's American international, isn't he? So
he'll not be on peanuts.
The thing is, okay, how often have we seen a Hibs team do well one season, like finish third or fourth, and then they get decimated in the summer? You lose your McGinns, your McGeochs, or whatever, Chris Killen. You go back, you can pick fucking players all the way through the years. Gary O'Connor, Derek Riordan, you name them, they go because bigger teams come and get them. I can never remember, really, maybe like in the McLeish era, or I can go back to Alec Miller, where you didn't have like transfer windows like you had now, where you didn't see a team totally decimated and having to rebuild, and you then, can you look at the players John Collins had to bring in when he lost the golden generation? They were crap. And so you can't sustain the success. This time we've kept it. There's no a player, other than Marciano probably, there's no a player left the club that we didn't want to leave in the summer.
And Nisbet as well, I mean, like, I was shocked. Everybody was adamant he was away. Everybody was adamant that he was getting a move for after him. And the Birmingham thing, I mean, that Birmingham thing, as much as it was a bit money up, no a lot of money up front and all that, Petrie and that would have ate that up. They'd have been right in about that. They'd have been like absolutely brilliant. He's £1 million for him. I mean, like, whatever it was. But the fact that Hibs are talking about extending his contract, although he's been rotten for a while, the player's still there, is what he can offer. And the fact when I was heard that him and Porteous were looking at contract extensions, I'm like, fucking change days. Huge, massive change.
That's the thing. It's no notice there. It's no noticeable to folk though. To answer the question or the talking point there, it's they're here already. It's when they're not here that we can moan about it, and when they're backing the players and all that, and with kind of obviously the wages that they might be getting paid or not getting paid. But to look at the transfer window, to use Jack Ross's words, it was lazy. It was a lazy transfer window, and that's what few people are looking at. They're not considering, well, they're here already. If we forget about them, obviously they would moan about it if they left. But bringing people in, we knew we needed bodies as well as these guys. If they had left, we needed 2 of them, and that was what we were. That's what we're. It was a lazy transfer window, and that's what's causing some of these issues now.
A lot of folk get excited with the transfer window too. I think a lot of them would rather have 6 players in the last minutes of the thing rather than them in weeks before settled. And Hibs have done it a few times, getting boys in real early in the window. The folk are like, last day of the transfer window, we need this, we need that, we need this. And like, signed 6 players this transfer window.
I spoke about that. I said that in one of the ones just at the window time, Leon, a few weeks ago. It's a Sky Sports fucking thing, this transfer window.
There's some drama and excitement and can make you pin it in the last minute, and everybody used to love it back in the day, watching the Sky Sports News to 12 at night and that, and watching things go to the line last minute and all the man.
Brian's thread on Hibs.net.
That's what made it,
Well, honestly, you know.
Right, Fattest Prickus says Scott Allen ran into the referee, and that is the only highlight from the game from my point of view.
Good point.
It's always good when something like that happens, Did you imagine if it was Ryan Porteous that had done it away? Another fucking red card.
I can't believe that. I never mentioned that boy's tackle in the game, That wasn't a red card, I don't think, when you see it back, but he wiped Boyle out like the centre half. Was it centre half, was it?
Aye. See, an interesting one about that, right? I apologise for my dog barking in the background there. The daughter's just coming in the kitchen, so it sent the dog crazy. See, for me, right, and this is, I care it's no right for the rules of the game and all the rest of it, right? This is, I'm not saying that's a red card. For me, that should be if you give Porteous a red card for going for the ball and winning the ball, but being a bit aggressive with it, surely you've got to send off the boy who's going, I'm not interested in playing the ball. All I'm going to do is wipe the player. So if all you're trying to do is kick the player, how's that no excessive force?
I hate them.
Aye.
Unless it's your player that does it.
Aye. Even then, Colin, so you see it and you go, right, take one for the team or whatever, but I would red card players for that every day of the week. I fucking hate it.
If I'm a Hibs fan and I see my tackle and the ref's run towards him, I'm like, I can't argue with that. You can't.
Aye.
Because
you just kick the player. It's fucking frustrating as anything.
Totally.
How's it no excessive force?
It was. I know he wasn't out of control because he knew exactly what he was fucking doing. He was in control.
That's worse.
So I know, but then what's the rule book say? Come on, and so was it reckless? Because reckless is only a yellow, isn't it? We spoke about that when Porteous got his red. So, but it was a hit when we were shooting for a red card. Going, what the fucking? How's that different? But then you see it back and you go, you didn't get red cards for the ones you're allowed to do them.
I tweeted when it happened and says first Ibrox is a red card, but it's not a red card. You know what I mean? It's like you're a name. You're like, it's you get them. You didn't. That could be that. I mean, if that was a red card, we'd all been talking about sports scene. That was never. Everyone, fans would be saying it was. Everybody else would be saying it wasn't, or whatever. Blah blah blah. But they never. It's so inconsistent at times. It's so inconsistent. It's frustrating as ever. But it's always been like that, to be fair.
At Finley HFC just said Kevin Nisbet. So Nisbet was getting pelters around about us, boy behind us, fucking hated him. It's like to the point where I think he would have grudged him if he'd scored the goal when he hit the post. Nisbet's, so there were a wee bit of conversation with Kevin Nisbet on Quick Bang on Saturday where I think it was Stephen Murray. It says he can't play up top on his own, like as a one. And then with the same token, I think John and Kevin said we'd get rid of him. And my point was, would you get rid of a player who's getting? It's not his fault. Ken, if you're saying it's the system that's at fault, is it fair to slaughter him? So I think you used to think about it.
I guess his body language doesn't help, and that's what's putting people off it. But I think he can play up front on his own. He just doesn't do it often enough because he's got a nice touch in that. See, Motherwell started the season on his own, and a couple of games at the start of the season up front on his own in that formation, he looked quite good. And don't think I'm good. I think I said that at the time on this. So I don't think I'm now just picking that up just to try and defend the boy.
Yeah.
I think it's his body language makes folk go, look at him, he's waving his fucking arms about like Riordan used to, but Riordan was a Hibby, and so he got away with it. So that was that's what he's like. He's like, he gets frustrated, he waves his arms. It doesn't look like he's trying hard enough. I mean, John Collins got hammered for it by a lot of folk earlier in the season when he said that's what he needs to improve on, is working harder.
Aye.
Pat Stanton said that on Friday night, as well, and like John Collins and Pat Stanton, two of his best ever players, right, are saying that, and we're going. Now people are coming into it, I think, because his attitude does look like, or his body language, Ron, his attitude, maybe isn't the best to get the fans on side.
The personnel around him, like as well, like him having to play up top in his end. He needs runners, he needs folk to link up with Ken. But like you see him loads of times taking the ball and taking it for a run. And he looks dangerous as anything. There's times when he opens up and he looks dangerous as anything. But it's we've missed Christian Deutsch for the moment he was injured. A player that goes right off right at the start that everybody hounded, and now is honestly such a miss at Hibs for all the it causes defences so much trouble, right? But for me, Nisbet's if Hibs lost Nisbet, I'd be disappointed. Really, really disappointed, because he's got levels and levels and levels to go up, and he'll go up the levels of Hibs. And I'd honestly, I get the, like you said, about the flailing arms and chucking arms. Nobody likes watching that, but like you said, right, then you should do it. And like Colin said, he was a Hibby, so got away with it. And that's, I think, handing the transfer request in the Birmingham thing.
That's not helping him.
Rubbed folk up the wrong way too.
But Riordan done that. You know what I mean? And he was welcome back.
Totally.
Scott Brown did it.
Same with Scott Allen. I mean, Scott Allen was he has to be one of the worst transfer sagas in Hibs history. Recent history anyway, for between him, Kevin Thompson and Scott Brown hang as well. Again, Scott Brown and Kevin Thompson both instigated the moves, but because Scott Brown hung around a wee bit longer, he got absorbed it all. He got
to lift the fucking cup. He got to lift the cup.
Totally.
But I would, if I was, put this way, right back on the point, if I was Jack Ross, I'd be saying to him, or Potter, or whatever, I'd be saying to Nisbet, right, keep fucking trying, but go and didn't look like a spoiled wee bastard. And doing all that stuff, because it's just got to get all them on your case. Just look like you're working, or work hard, right? Work hard, and then you go in a huff. Then you look like you're going in a huff, even if you're not. Because again, it's at points he's moaning at not getting the right ball or whatever it is, and that's the right thing to be doing. He should be saying to Boyle or Murphy, "Fucking what's that? Get into my feet," or "Over there, no here," or whatever it is he's moaning about. That's the right thing to be doing. It's just I used to moan a lot at my work, right? I used to be like moaning bastard. Believe it or not. Right, Matthew's known me since I was 11. Right. I used to be a right moan, and what I started doing is I still moan, but I moan in a more positive way. And I'm still doing the same fucking moaning, but I'm doing it in a. But how about that though? Why are you doing it this way? We don't know why you're doing it that way. And all I'm saying is, Nisbet should carry on doing what he's doing, but just look more positive about it and look like he's working a bit harder.
Was he no carrying an knock as well? Did Jack still say something about him? Kind of, there's a few players that were sort of playing injured, and I'm sure Kevin Nisbet was one of the ones that was quoted in that, which might explain his wee drop in form as well.
The thing is, he's playing every minute, every game. He's away with Scotland all the time. He's not getting any days off, right, because of it all. And I feel like I'm just defending the boy, right? But we can't just be chucking him away. We're trying to give him a new contract because people wanted him, because he's broken into the Scotland squad. He had no chance of getting to the Euros this time last year. It was only it came after, it was after January, February time when he scored at Parkhead, when he scored at Ibrox and that. It was only the last week he scored at fucking Ibrox to put us 1-0 in the lead.
Boyles there's dips in form too. He plays every minute. He travels about the world, and there's dips in form. But again,
he's never done that before, Leon. He's never been used to it. You know what I mean? He's lower league footballer. He was a lower league footballer until last season.
Totally.
All right, D Shoes. Struan Hardy is the next one. Said there were no tactics. One of the worst games I've ever been to. I think we probably covered that. D Shoes said, why was the queue for McDonald's so bad? Probably with everybody leaving early. Paul Mackay, right, so 3 points to Paul here, says one, how little there was on the bench to change things. I think we've spoke about that. Two, where were all the people who were slating Paul McGinn for being pish on Saturday night because they weren't online? So I mean, McGinn, we definitely missed him, but there's an interesting conversation to have about how do you fit Boyle, McGinn, and Cadden into the team, or do you? Is it a case that one of them misses out?
Is that not what a squad is? Is that not what a squad's for? You didn't
Aye.
have to fit them on the team, but you've got them on the bench, and then you can make changes when you need to. So if we'd started with McGinn on Saturday, if we could have started with McGinn on Saturday and we were struggling, you chuck Cadden on and go to 3 at the back and you put Cadden the wing back, and you might see a bit of an impact and a bit of a difference. But we had no options, and that's the point, isn't it? So you don't need to fit all 3 in.
Aye, and then what has Jamie Gullen done to not even get a minute or 2 on the pitch? It's a game
It's a funny one. It's a funny one. I can't quite grasp what. It's not like you like. I'm saying he's only scored 1 goal, but then again, I'm also thinking he's hardly played. I'm not really sure what he's obviously not shown enough in training. It must be as simple as that.
That must be always. See, if you're a manager, right, you're not going to keep a good player on the bench. You're cutting your nose off to spite your face. If your job relies on you getting results, and you think, come on, I just don't like this laddie, I'm not going to play him. You'd be like, fucking hell, get on the pitch, go and win us the game, because your job depends on it. So I would think if Gullen was doing it enough in training, he would be in the team. That's my view.
No doubt about it. He'd get more minutes, definitely, no doubt. When when we've been winning games and that, you would have chucked him on for half an hour and that, and we just haven't. So there's something there that he's just that Ross isn't seeing.
Aye. Andrew Brown said.
Leon just walked off. I wasn't happy with that point. He's also a Gullen fan.
Sorry about that. My dad was doing an Arsenal call for the toilet in the back door. It's been there for about 2-3 minutes. I was like, well, this is getting a disaster.
Andrew Brown said, where's Dan Mackay? So I think we've covered that one as well. We've surely got to feature before Scott, who looks like a competition winner who's got on the park. Fucking hopeless. Alan says, why no change of tactics when it was clear we need someone with a bit of dig and effort in the middle of the park? Chris Cadd clearly isn't a right back. Views on that one? Cadden is a right back? Yes or no, Leon?
Well, he can obviously play there, but I think he's defensive enough. I don't think he's. But again, it's maybe just because he's not the mats. You can't just write somebody off after playing a couple of games. I mean, he's had injuries and that. But I mean, for me, Paul McGinn's a better right back. Paul McGinn gets slated for Hibs fans. I just don't think he's attractive enough as a player for them. He's not as exciting. He's just John McGinn. Again, does his job, gets a lot of assists, scores the odd goal, is involved in he's like pre-assists that are not usually thing. Again, but they talk about that. But they are, to be fair, right? But he's gets a lot. He's involved in so many Hibs goals. But then I think the problem we have with McGinn is Hibs obviously they concede a lot of crosses, and a lot of crossy goals, and so really you look at your fullbacks. But Cadden, for me, is maybe a wing back or a right mid that because he's got loads of energy. He runs at folk. When we first came at Hibs, I thought we were saying a really good player here. He looked really dangerous, but for me, all day, honestly, John McGinn's a far better player.
John McGinn definitely is.
John McGinn definitely is. Any argument there?
John McGinn, Hibs Twitter, but he's purple. But it's Paul McGinn's for me he's better. But Karen, look, can I just write folk off? We've just said this, so after one game he's just not a right back. Then you might look at his stats and he's played 200 games at right back. Because I get what I mean.
I was going to say I thought he was a right back to trade. I thought that's what he came in as for Motherwell when he was a lad.
Wing back away. I think he was always like sort of wing back more than actual kind of sitting in defending. But I don't know.
It's one bad game. It's one bad game. That's what I keep coming back to. It's one bad game the boys had. He's not been that. I think he was that much worse than everybody else. Of course, aye. Yep.
Okay, Mandy says £2.50 pints at the bowling club before and after the game were the only highlights. £2.50 pints sound decent, to be fair.
Appealing, yep.
Joe Donohoe said, was the pitch too wet? Are the screens a distraction when the balls are being swung in for the wings? Could we have played any slower? Why are professional footballers who get paid quite a bit of money so one-footed? So I feel a lot going on in that one. The screens a distraction?
To the players?
Aye.
Well, they didn't distract the United players. It's the same fucking screens.
So there's a point, And was the pitch too wet? I think so. Didn't seem to see any folk falling over, eh?
In effect, Dundee United.
No.
I think Hibs you like it. Like, they want to move the ball out quick, eh? So,
They normally soak the pitch a bit. David Loudon said, midfield, the shape of it or lack thereof, or counter-attacking style, even when at home. So that's, I think, goes back into what we were saying about Jack Ross and folk taking them, is that there's a perception, and I don't know if it's backed up in reality, because I've not done the checking of it. Are we a predominantly counter-attacking team, even when we're at home? What do you think?
we're good at counter-attacking. We are. We've got the players to counter-attack. Martin Boyle, the one. But I still feel like we take the game to teams at him. I feel like we had the problem last season. Obviously, our home form was really poor. But I feel like we have a lot of ideas how and breaking teams down. So maybe he's got a really a point about that. But can it be just a counter-attacking team, and we've turned our teams that's sitting against us? So it's hard to say. But we are a good counter-attacking team, and I actually thought we were going to do a lot better in Europe because of that, because of the style that we played.
What were you, Colin? What are your thoughts on that point?
Well, we'd explain the away record that was better last season. So it does. This season have we been a counter? I don't know if we've been counter-attacking at home this season. Like with Ross County, we comfortably we took the game to them, scored early goals. St Mirren, they also played at home. Dundee United, what doing? Drew with St Mirren, but that, again, it wasn't. We weren't counter-attacking.
Livingston, we didn't counter-attack Livingston.
So not appearance. I can think it anyway. Away from home, I would say I would probably do, and right to, because that's your strengths, especially with Boyle and that when Boyle's on form. But again, as we've said plenty of times, when Boyle's no firing, then we do struggle a wee bit.
Okay, Flash Gogsy said, is Jack Ross the right man to take Hibs forward? And do we give the benefit of the doubt with Matthew not getting the signings in, or is there no way we progress under him?
Well, we've been progressing, so hopefully we can continue to progress. And one bad result doesn't mean everything stops and fucking trains crashed. You know what I mean? It's a chance to then pick up again and keep progressing.
I think some people need to work out what the word progress means. As a progression, you didn't take huge strides and huge jumps. We're not going to start winning leagues and things overnight. It's a process. It's a progression, and we have progressed. So if we stop progressing, then like you say, Colin, if we stop progressing, there's an issue.
The problem is that is that a problem?
He set quite a high bar to push on from.
Another manager coming in.
People say third in the count last year.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's fourth this year, it doesn't matter because third didn't matter. So it's a cup that he needs to do to progress, isn't it? Because he's only been one ball here away from it, really.
All right, last 2 points. Liam Baldry said, why does Stevenson not still start? For me, he's better than Doig. Where are the characters in the side? How can we accept losing like that so easily? Shanks, a game like Saturday would have been a game for Stevenson to come in.
They played well up there early in the month, didn't they? When we won
That's true, yeah, he did.
He doesn't let you down when he plays. I think Doig. I think we said it before as well. Ross done really well last year and getting Doig in and out the team at the right times to take the heat off him. So he wasn't. I mean, he never got much heat for Saturday. To be fair, it all went on to Wood and that, but get him out the team before he feels the heat, so that he doesn't get the confidence knock. If folk thinking, "Oh fuck, this laddie's shite now," that he's not running past boys and banging them in the top corner. So I think Stevenson's a bad option. But then we would have been quite surprised, I think, would we know, if Stevenson started on Saturday.
Aye, would have been.
And I think your point would maybe be more relevant is like actually to kick somebody up the arse and say, Stevenson's coming on, by the way, in midfield, because you're doing fuck all.
Aye.
At least he'll run about. And to get the point, what was the last point there? It was something about accepting defeat.
Aye.
So what did they mean, kick somebody in there? Could have got Stevenson on to do that. Is that what that means? He wasn't accepting defeat because he kicked him back? Or
I think for that one, I think it goes back to the point I was saying about Jack Ross not changing in that. For me, Jack Ross accepted it.
Aye, but they're talking about the players there, I don't know.
But I suppose But
There's accepting defeat. I mean, what else do you do? Like, what were they meant to do there? Just start kicking guys, or because
well,
I'm not sure what they mean by accepting defeat. Because what else? You've got no fucking choice but to accept defeat. Sometimes you got beat. You got beat fair and square. We can't even moan about a referee or anything here.
yeah. But I suppose during the game though, you can try. I think if I'm reading the point right, is there's a point in that game, right? And we've all can play football, played sport, right? And you can sometimes, fuck, this is shite today. You can early doors like that game on Saturday. You can first 10 minutes Hibs were shite. You didn't have to just accept it. Like really, really good players turn it around. No saying it never happens to them, right? But you get folk who'll go and say, I'm no, and sometimes it is kicking somebody called, right? Sometimes that's what it is. Dundee United did it to us, right? See, their fans went fucking ballistic at a slide tackle down right at your in front of your seat, right? So Hibs were putting a bit of pressure on, getting a bit of momentum, and the boy just went fucking slid in. It was a clean tackle. Didn't even think it was a free kick. Won the ball, hard physical, lifted everybody. They went. That's when you're not accepting. So the momentum in the game's swinging at that point. Hibs are getting on top, and they went, well, fuck it, we'll do something about it. Hibs never done that at any point. Well, they must have done it at some point if we were getting the momentum, right? So I'm kind of arguing against myself here. But not at that level.
Aye, that's a wee bit of leadership we spoke about before. David Gray was good for it, right? But what I'm thinking there is like, I was taking it more. Maybe I was taking it too literally.
Like after the event.
Aye, but no, it was more like that they've accepted defeat. Like they weren't sitting fucking crying, or like some boy's ass or running out again, leaning over the voratorium. What's it called? That thing.
Voratorium.
Aye. Go mental. Well, was that what they want the players today? I'm not really sure. Like, they've not accepted defeat. Like they were going mental at full time. You know what I mean? It's like I don't really. I'm sure they never accepted defeat. I'm sure they weren't very fucking happy about it. I'm sure they were away popping champagne in the town though.
Aye.
Like they did last time. Like last time we got a loss like this.
I think the thing with Doig as well is like Ken, you're saying is like Jack Ross made the comment about managing in hindsight. Ken, I never seen many folks shouting for. Obviously, the guy was asking about was Stevenson maybe a better option, but I never seen anybody moaning about Stevenson not starting. I've never ever seen that. No. But and for me, if you're trying to punt a laddie for £4 million, he doesn't sit on the bench. You know what I mean? And that's the bottom line with Doig. Like it's.
Do you think that was a bigger thing on the Matthew thing? That was a total fucking mess. 100%. Like we left him at the team at Motherwell because he was definitely going. Jack Ross is in the telly saying and nothing happened. We got no bids. Do you think that was more the Matthew thing than
quite possibly? Stuff? Aye.
Well, I talked about the transfer thing about saying was that maybe what stalled it. Like we were talking about the windies that the levels that Hibs were looking at transfer wise, and as with him moving on, was that going to push us into a different level of player with what we were going to pay? And maybe obviously an accumulation of things, but that was one of them. And because that was. And that was, it wasn't embarrassing, but it was a bit fucking silly that they're like taking the lad out the limelight and pretty much saying he was away.
Aye.
Pretty much saying he was away. Without saying
pick somebody sort of thing, eh?
Aye. And then it just not materialised. So it's aye.
Right, last point comes to Albert Kidd. Not sure if it's the Albert Kidd. It just says why some of our support are known-faced bastards. I'd probably include us in that as well. That's football fans for you. That's football fans. Right, Aberdeen on Saturday next week, so they're obviously struggling as well. So how's that going to go? Leon, you want to be first up?
Just, aye. Well, we'll always say it, Ken. You need a result, play Hibs. I think they're probably more worried about playing us than we're about playing them, because it's not very often, like I said, I made that stupid comment earlier about Hibs didn't usually lose 3 in a row. Or no, that I didn't think under Ross, but I think we've got a lot to prove on Saturday. We play a little bit away from him anyway, so I think we'll get a win. I would take a draw because Aberdeen are struggling. They're really struggling, and I didn't kind of you always want to fall back on the take a draw away from him, but no the way we play away from him. I'm looking for a win, like I think a clean sheet would be very, very nice, but that's maybe asking for a bit too much.
What would you call?
I get what Leon's saying there, but I think it's probably a good. it is a good time to catch them, because their confidence is low because they're not playing well. Well, maybe they are playing well. I think that's what you're saying. The chairman was saying they're playing well. They're just not getting the results, but they're not picking results up, so their confidence is low. So they're going to be thinking, "Oh fuck, it's Hibs." They might try and go all guns blazing, which probably suits us as well for what we're saying there with Boyle up front and or out wide and all that. The counter-attacking style. It's maybe a good time to catch them.
Aye.
Going back to something Pat Stanton said on Friday, which was it's such a basic thing what he was talking about, but it just coming for him, it's like, because he knows what he's talking about. Talking about Aberdeen, saying about they were talking about their possession, about how much possession they've got in games and they're still losing them. Pat Stanton saying, "Aye, it's all good having possession at the back, going left to right, and teams are standing watching you and saying, 'Aye, have the ball when you go.'" And then I listened to an Aberdeen fan talking about it, and maybe that is the problem. Maybe the stats are hiding the problem at Aberdeen. Maybe the stats that the board are looking at are saying, "Well, aye, they're doing they've got loads of possession and creating chances and that," but maybe their possession is based in their own half and not getting forward. So,
I think you're right. I think we had more possession than Dundee United on Saturday. I'm sure I saw that on Sports Scene, like 60-40.
That's surprising, eh?
I'm sure I saw that on Sports Scene. I'll go and double check just in case I'm talking shite. But
aye, their goals were obviously, they were like counter attacks. Obviously, the free kick with the header was like, great header, was fucking raging. Like, it was a great header, but again, losing a header in the air just fucking frustrates life in me. But aye, I felt that they had us. They were happy to watch us try and do what we wanted today, and then because they knew the positions we were going to get into, and we want to get them back, and they just absolutely fucking scarred us every time. Yeah. He's probably right. He probably did have more possession.
Aye.
I
think Saturday a little hinge on who we've got available. I think that's the thing. If we get even a couple of the players back that we've missed in, it'll make a big difference to us. But I think if we go, maybe get a reaction, maybe Jack Ross gets a big reaction for the players after Saturday. See, one thing that was generally what Lennon was quite good at doing is if the team were proper shite one week, they got their arses kicked and were decent the next. But we'll see how. I actually being a 0-0, I just want a shite game.
When is it, Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock, or is it a different time?
I think it's the 3 o'clock, are they? Sold out as well. Aberdeen only released a limited number of tickets.
Keep it below 10,000.
Aye. That's it, fucking dicks. It sold out quick. So we were looking for a couple of spares for Josh's power to go. He texts me, he's like, fucking sold out already. It's like Aberdeen away, sold it that quick, but that's why. Anyway, right, that's...
We did have more possession, by the way, 61-39 on Saturday, and it's 3 o'clock on Saturday. I've just checked that well.
But I suppose that with the possession, if you think there was a good spell in the second half where Hibs were, I was going to say knocking on the door, but we weren't really ever knocking on the door. This but hit the post. But around about that time, we were, the game was played in one half. Just like United were dead comfortable with. Anyway,
they just looked so energetic in midfield under United. I felt like, and I don't know if that was just because we were so poor, but they just looked so fucking energetic in midfield. And that young lad came back, was it Glass? I can't remember. They were talking about Jamaica. I suppose it was a Hibby. I can't remember his name is, but
I think he's meant to be.
He was back for a long time out, and so that's great. The ladies keep the
I just read about on Hibs tonight. Apparently his old man's a season ticket holder in the West Lower, but he's a Celtic fan. But still, his old man sits in the West Lower, so we come to ram it right up him. That's what the feel.
Right, that's us out of time for the night. So thanks for tuning in. We've not got any live shows or fuck all to punt the now, Colin, isn't it? Nothing to.
Make up some money. Any mugs? Liam,
Liam, we're liking your mug, Liam.
6th best mug in the house.
Excellent. Back on Thursday with short bangers, so watch out for Twitter for appeals going out for questions for that. No special guests or nothing this time, Colin. Just
dull.
It's back to normality, yeah. Boring with the Jack Rossi podcasts. Right. That's us for today. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.